Well, hello, hello. It is your host on the coast, and we are here to bring you this cheery good morning. Hello, hello. We're going to be talking about encounters, experiences with non-human intelligences. All right, let's get right to it. Non-human intelligences. We could be talking about dogs, right? But with this book, what we're going to be talking about is explorations with UFOs, dreams, angels, AI, and other dimensions. This is by DW Pasulka. She has written a book that I'm interested in reading, and it is about Purgatory. Let's see if that book is listed in here. I wanted to get it, but I think it's very expensive. Yeah, the first book she wrote was called Heaven Can Wait, Purgatory in Catholic, Devotional, and Popular Culture, because I was always very interested in purgatory, being raised in, I wasn't an extreme Catholic family, but let me just say you probably couldn't get more Catholic than us, including the schools. So she wrote that book, and then she wrote American Cosmic, UFOs, Religion, and Technology. And now she wrote this book. So she seems to be on a roll with this. She got making herself look a little wild and crazy there. But I like it. I like it. So let me just read a little bit from this book. Let's read the introduction. Now, is she the one who wrote the introduction? Sometimes they have other people write the introduction. I'm assuming it looks like she wrote that. So we shall go. Why don't we look at the table of contents? My camera seems to be quite in the way of everything. The shadow from the camera, not the shadow of your smile. Introduction. Chapter 1, The Space Psychologist. 2, Technology and AI, a language bridge back to contact. 3, The Gray Man. 4, Gray Man 2. 5, The Soldier. 6, Gnosis. 7, Moon Girl. 8, Children of the Invisibles. 9, From Atheism to a Magical Mystery Tour. 10, The Dream Network, Dreamscapes, Visions, and Lucid Dreams. Conclusion, The End of an Allegory, Acknowledgements, and Notes. This is a brand new book. It came out in 2023. I put myself on the wait list for this because I so wanted to read it. I'm much more interested in reading the one about Purgatory because I don't know that there's been that many books written on Purgatory. And if you don't know what Purgatory is the waiting room for Catholics. You're not going to hell. You're not going to heaven. You're going someplace in between. And it was a real big moneymaker for the Catholic Church because you would be praying for the souls in purgatory. I don't believe you could pray for anybody in hell. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave a kindly comment below if you know that. But I do believe you could pray for those who were in purgatory and get them sent to heaven. Now, I don't know, maybe you could pray that someone was in purgatory and they go straight to hell. I'm sure we all know some people who deserve to go there. And there's not a real good explanation, I don't think, what happens in purgatory. A long time ago, before it was called purgatory, it was called limbo. And you went to limbo. And it's just limbo land. You're just sort of there. Nothing's really happening. You're not in the beauty of heaven, which, what is heaven? It's reunited with all those who have died. It's becoming a spiritual being. It's visiting people on earth. It's becoming a better person. To me, those are all the things heaven is about. Okay, so I want to let's read a little bit from this book. It looks like maybe you can pick this book kind of up anywhere. I'm not getting that I'm following a complete train of thought, but it looks to be like different stories. Event number 2, Gray Man number 2. Let's see about Gray Man number 1. There is Gray Man number 1 and Gray Man number 2. I don't know if these are her experiences or someone else's experiences. Let's see, Gray Man encounter. I'm just going to be paraphrasing a lot of this also too. I'm not going to read too much from the book, but I am going to read a little bit, okay? Highly recommend the book, even though I haven't read it all the way through yet. I read a little bit in the beginning, but I do think it is going to be a good read. She says Gray Man works for a research agency, and she says more than any other scientist she has worked with, he was careful about what he could share. Now, I'm assuming by Gray Man, she's saying that this is go back to the front of the book, experiences with non-human intelligences. So she's saying, I believe this, she has worked with someone who is a non-human intelligence. And for any of us who are in the UFO community, we understand Gray Man as meaning an extraterrestrial, an ET, right? Let me see. Gray Man related his experiences, and they reveal how these categories of beings overlapped. Okay, so she's not saying she had an experience with a Gray Man. She's just recounting someone who she feels is a very valid person who has a lot of credentials, is a real person. They're saying he's a research agency head and of a exclusive laboratory. So his experience she's relating, she's saying that he woke up and there was this face above him and the eyes just pierced him, and he felt they looked right into me and was assessing him, giving some sort of a thumbs up on it or a thumbs down of him as a person. As I felt this kind of assessment taking place, I could also see into his soul too. I felt he was a really good, basically, he just felt he was a good person. His hair was long, and his face was close to mine. I don't know what kind of a good person's just going to put their face right into yours, but maybe this is what aliens do because they don't quite understand it. I'm going to have a little cup of my cheer this morning. This is a cup of coffee with peppermint vodka in it. Yum. Ha, that's BS about the peppermint vodka. If I had peppermint vodka in the morning, I'd probably toss my cookies. So anyways, he woke up. He's got this face staring in his face. The hair is very long, shoulder length, and it shone pale like it was made of light. He didn't make any statement about what the eyes look like. All we know is that he had blonde hair and kind of was glowing. So then he's just feeling this huge rush of love and this sensation of adrenaline. And then the room was lit right, completely radiated out from his body. Now, I'm going to tell you just a brief experience I had about a room becoming illuminated. This was many years ago. I'm going to say, 30 years ago. I was at that time starting to get very much into metaphysical things and dreams. And, well, I'd already done the dream thing. I think this was at a time with my guru, following my guru and things like that. And I had a revelation about someone that just seemed really like a thought I'd never really had. I would say it was revelatory. And all of a sudden, I was in my bed. and I kind of sat up in my bed, and all of a sudden the whole room got bright. Just the room. I could tell it was just my room, and the room got very, very bright and continued to get very, very bright. And I remember at first I was just experiencing, but then I got a feeling of how long is this going to last? This is seeming really intense. Okay, what's going to happen here? And nothing was happening. I was just in this complete illumination. So I shut it down. And about 5 years later, I had another experience of illumination. I had moved, and outside my room was this square. They have this in these old buildings. It was like a square. It was like a shaft where, so that light could get down into it, I guess, or air or something for that particular room, because it was like an inside room. And all of a sudden, I was in bed by myself in the room, and something propelled me to get up, and I got up. And outside, I had curtains on that window, and the window was closed. And outside that shaft where light was, it was the middle of night, it became extremely illuminated. Just almost the same as when it happened in my room, but it was outside of my room, and I didn't know what to make of it. And I was too scared. It wasn't like someone turned on a light. It wasn't like someone dropped a flare. There was no flickering. There was no movement. Just the shaft became completely illuminated, as if something was outside my window and wanted me to open it up. And I was not going to open that window. And once again, I rejected the experience. We had these, this house was very old. We had these big doors that, made out of mahogany that opened and closed like curtains. You could pull them that way and pull them that way. And I went over, and I remember I shut the mahogany doors and waited in the other room until I felt the experience was over. That's my experience with illumination. Wow. So he's in this, and the guy that he's seeing, this apparent ET, he had on a sleeveless gown, and he just was glowing. The being was glowing. And then the adrenaline passed, and he was just feeling the calm. And he wanted to hug him, and he said, "No, I have a sword that could hurt you." So I didn't notice this. He says, I didn't notice the sword. It was held vertically with the tip pushing against his clothing. And he said once he noticed it, he said, "Oh yeah, there's a sword there." So it's kind of like that Mae West thing. Is that a pistol you're packing, or are you just happy to see me? Time was blurring, and he felt strongly that the being was sacred and holy, like an angel. I also had an angel encounter. Maybe I'll tell that sometime, when I was very young. And then the being starts changing. And then he could feel that it was evil. Or no, not that it was evil. Was there another evil thing that came? Oh. He gave him the sword, and then another being appeared. It was like dark smoke. Oh, and so he was supposed to fight that evil. Wow. But he was not afraid, I guess, because he had that sword. The sword went through the being. And then he thought, oh, the angel is happy with me. And then I woke up some point after this. Well, isn't this like a dream? This more or less sounds like a dream. Then he's saying he felt grateful for the experience. Now she says that the gray man emphasized it was not a dream. He says this is not a dream. And I think you do know when things are dreams and things are not dreams. So He completely believes this was not a dream. So that's basically the experience with Gray Man. I guess because she's in this work, people are going to tell her about her experiences, maybe. She's also going to get into Saint Michael here, which I had a flirtation, fascination with for a while. I'm not really so sure what to think about Saint Michael anymore, but she is bringing up Saint Michael in here. Now she's getting into speaking about synchronicities. I believe in synchronicities, but I'm not one to let them kind of rule my life. The book is going into a long tirade or whatever about Saint Michael. So I'm just kind of skimming this book right now. I'm not doing any heavy reading. I'm just picking out words that I see. Now, apparently, before the Gray Man, the scientist, became a scientist and was much younger, he had a encounter or a sighting with a UFO. So that wasn't his first time at the rodeo. So you're going to be also reading about his UFO encounter, looks like was in Australia. There is an interesting someone trying to give an explanation as to why some people are more susceptible to getting messages and having encounters with UFO beings. The scientist says, I believe they were in those craft and sending out psychic messages to see who would receive it. You can imagine it being like running a magnet over different metals and seeing which ones move. So running a magnet over different metals and seeing which ones move in relation to human beings. And I accept this as a plausibility. We all have different harmonic frequencies in our body. We're all mostly water. It would depend on the ratio to water, to bone, to everything else in your body, how that hooks up with your brain, how that hooks up with your mentality, your spirituality, your ability to take on new experiences. So if there is an overlighting being that can do that, it's probably in a second they're going to be able to suss out the people that can accept the experience and those that can't. She's also maybe getting into speaking about orbs in here, UFOs and orbs. I've had experiences with orbs. I'm thinking just twice in my life. I guess I shut them down. I remember I was very bored with the orb that came and visited me the one time. And then the other time, I knew I had to get up early in the morning to go to work. So I also wasn't that interested in it. But I do believe in orbs. I'm not quite sure what they are, but they are very trippy. Then we are going back into that same man. She calls him Gray Man, having another major event with a UFO or non-human intelligence. I'm wondering what is the connection between these unexplainable, inexplicable encounters and light. He told me that it looked like it had been plugged into an electric socket and it was radiating light. What is the connection between light and these beings? I'm sure if they are from another planet, they can fly around here. They could be here at this very moment with me, sitting next to me, and I'm not going to see them. So why, when they come here, do they feel it necessary to show all their lights on the craft? You look at the the Arizona Lights phenomenon. Most UFO, they're identified to us through lights, although I do have a couple UFO experiences. One was based on light, and one was not based on light, with a craft very high up in the sky that you could see through, which was weird. What is the situation with the light? Why would the beings want themselves to be radiating light and to show themselves in such a manner as if to appear godly, sacred, holy, special, so much more different than you? Like, hey, this is obvious. Here I am. I can glow from within. Can you do that? No. I'm just a mere human. I can't glow from within. But if, Uncle Fester could, you put a bulb in his mouth and he could turn it on, right? But what is the connection between light, them wanting to see us, them wanting us to see them? What was the light that was in my room? What was the light that was in that shaft? Most of the experiences, even in the Bible, which her original research was around taking biblical experiences and explaining them more in the light of UFOs or UAP, unidentified aerial phenomenon, UFO, unidentified flying object. I don't know. I don't even know why they had to change the name. It's just stupid. But what is the connection between the light? So there's a lot, as I'm scanning through this, there is a lot going on here. Now, I'm going to tell you about an interesting experience that someone I know had with a squirrel. This person was going to be moving, and they shouldn't have been moving. There's no way this person should have been moving. It caused a lot of disharmony and upset. They decided to move anyways. And before they moved, I believe it was a couple days before they moved out, they had left their back door open. And this big, beautiful silver squirrel wandered in, licked their toe, and left. Imagine that. Licked their toe, looked at them, and left. There's a lot of weird experiences in life that go on. It's just a lot. This book doesn't seem extremely coherent to me. It seems to be a bunch of, I don't know, what you call it, anecdotal information, I guess, not to be derogatory, but someone could look at it like that. It looks to be a lot of random events from different people pulled together to make this book. Now, I'm hoping if I can ever get a copy of maybe American Cosmic, which is the second book she wrote. This is the third book she wrote, called American Cosmic UFOs, Religion and Technology. I'm interested in that. And I really want to read the first book. I think the first book was her thesis, and she turned it into a book. Heaven Can Wait, Purgatory in Catholic Devotional and Popular Culture. Because what is the story with Purgatory? Is there biblical references? I'm not that Bible smart. I was raised a Catholic. We don't do a whole lot of Bible. Are there biblical references to what purgatory, limbo, is like? And I do know that many religions rejected that when they broke away from the Catholic Church. They didn't want to do the limbo thing anymore, because the limbo really was a way for the church to make a lot of money. Look, I can't say this is my review of the book. This is just my first go-through of the book. I haven't read the book yet. I can't really say I have reviewed the book. Just a few little experience of looking through it. So far right now, it doesn't seem to me anything different than a lot of other books I've read, which are about people's different experiences with Well, okay, what are they calling, if they've changed UFOs and they're not aliens or extraterrestrials? Oh, I guess this is what they're calling them. It's UAPs and non-human intelligences. It used to be UFOs and extraterrestrials. Extra, meaning they're not from terra firma Earth. But now they're calling them non-human intelligences. Does that mean that they actually could be originating here on Earth? Possibly. All right, it's got a cool cover. Green flames and blue flames. And that is it. That's just a little bit of the encounters. Explorations with UFOs, dreams, angels, AI, and other dimensions by Pasulka. This is your host on the coast, coming to you from somewhere off the coast of nowhere.